Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. Okay, picture this. Middle of the night, big storm rolls through, everything goes dark, pitch black. You head out to your backup generator, expecting that roar, lights back on. But you get nothing, just silence. That quiet can be really unnerving, can't it? Turns that peace of mind right into a major headache. So today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly why that happens, and maybe more importantly, how you can get things running again. Our mission here is to cut through the confusion, share some maybe surprising facts from our expert sources, and really give you practical, actionable steps, stuff you can actually use to restore power. And along the way, you'll see why Copperfield Electric, they're your trusted 24-hour electrician, serving Orange County and all across Southern California, is the partner you want. They're family-owned, dedicated to homes, businesses too, with a top-notch team. Licensed, bonded, insured. Their license is hashtag 1094740, by the way.
Yeah, that silence you described, it's something, unfortunately, a lot of generator owners run into. You invest in this generator for security, right? For comfort. It's supposed to be your safeguard. But it only really pays off if it starts up reliably when you actually need it. So this deep dive, it's really about empowering you, giving you the know-how to understand what's going on in those moments, maybe even do some of the basic checks yourself. What's really interesting here, I think, is that mix between, the simple things you can check first and then knowing when it's time, when you really need to call in an expert.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Before we even jump into the fixes, our sources point to something, well, maybe a bit counterintuitive about why generators fail in the first place. What's usually the root cause when that generator just won't start? And why might that surprise people?
Well, it's something we see again and again in the research. The number one reason, overwhelmingly, is often down to poor or just irregular maintenance. But here's the twist. It's not always just, like, forgetting an oil change. It often comes down specifically to the fuel. A lot of folks don't realize that the gasoline you get today, especially with ethanol in it, it can start to break down pretty fast, sometimes in just 30, maybe 60 days if it's just sitting there in the tank. And this breakdown, it causes something called phase separation. Basically, the ethanol sucks up moisture, separates from the gas, and forms this kind of corrosive, gummy sludge, awful stuff. It can wreck carburetors, fuel lines, injectors, sometimes permanently. So what looks like maybe a dead battery or, I don't know, some mechanical thing, it often traces right back to fuel that's gone bad. And that's something you can totally prevent with the right upkeep.
Wow, okay. That's actually huge. It totally changes how you think about maintenance, doesn't it? It's not just routine stuff. It's like actively fighting fuel chemistry. Understanding that up front is super helpful because, yeah, it helps you troubleshoot, but it's also a massive preventative tool.
Exactly. Prevention, especially with fuel, is so much less expensive, less stressful than dealing with emergency repairs after that gunk has already taken hold, which leads us perfectly into the very first troubleshooting step you should take.
Right. So the power's out. You're standing there by the silent generator, feeling frustrated.
Yeah.
What's the absolute first, most basic, the one maybe people skip that you should check before you start thinking complex problems?
Yeah. Always start with the fuel system. I know it sounds obvious, right? But you'd be amazed how often it's just, out of fuel. Or maybe the fuel valve got shut off last time it was serviced or something. Easy mistake. So, first step, look at the gauge. Is there enough fuel? If it's low, we'll fill it up. Second, double check that all the fuel valves are actually open. Sounds simple, but check them. Then, think about the fuel quality. Has it been sitting for months? Do you think it might be contaminated? That's a big red flag. Stale fuel, like we just talked about with phase separation, it gums everything up. Carburetor, fuel lines, clogged. In that case, you might honestly need to drain out all the old stuff. Get it out, replace it with fresh fuel, maybe add stabilizer before you even try starting it again. Sometimes you can even smell it, If it smells kind of sour or like varnish, that feels probably bad.
That makes total sense. It's not just, is there gas? But is it good gas? Is it fresh? And can it actually get where it needs to go? Okay, got it. Now, this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. Fuel's good. It's fresh. Valves are open. Now we look at the electrical side, the heart of the starting system. What are we looking for with the generator battery?
The battery. Yeah, absolutely crucial. It provides that initial kick, that starter power to get the engine turning over. If the battery doesn't have enough juice, even with perfect fuel, the generator just won't even begin the start sequence. So, first thing, look at the battery terminals. See any white, powdery stuff building up. That's corrosion. And that corrosion, it acts like an insulator, basically. Stops the electricity flowing properly. You need to clean that off. A wire brush works, or a baking soda and water mix. Next, physically check the cables. Are they tight on the terminals? A loose connection is almost as bad as a dead battery. Wiggle them. If the battery is dead, well, you might need to charge it. A trickle charger is good for that. Or if it's old, maybe bulging a bit, or just won't hold a charge anymore, it probably needs replacing. They usually last, what, 3, maybe 4 years, around there. And hey, while you're looking at electrical stuff, it's a good idea to just quickly glance at any circuit breakers on the generator itself or on your main transfer switch. Make sure nothing's tripped.
Right, so the battery isn't just storing power, it's the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
It has to let that power flow cleanly for the generator to even try to start. If that connection's fuzzy or weak, the whole thing just stops. It really is foundational.
Exactly right. It's the trigger for the whole starting chain reaction.
Okay, so fuel checked, it's good. Battery checked, terminal's clean, connection's tight. But what about the actual, spark? The thing that ignites the fuel? What do we check there?
Good question. That takes us to the spark plugs. They're responsible for creating that little arc of electricity that ignites the fuel and air mixture inside the engine cylinder. And yeah, spark plugs that are worn out or dirty or fouled, as they call it, that's a super common reason for a generator not starting, even if fuel and battery seem fine. You'll need the right tool, usually a spark plug socket wrench, to carefully take them out. Then you just look at them, see heavy black soot, oily residue. Is the little metal tip worn down or damaged? Is the ceramic part cracked? If they're just a bit dirty, sometimes you can clean them carefully. But honestly, if they look damaged or really worn, just replace them. They're usually not expensive. Replacing them is pretty straightforward, but it makes a huge difference to getting that engine to fire up and run smoothly. And while you're thinking about the engine breathing, maybe take a quick peek at the air filter too. If it's totally clogged with dirt, the engine can't get enough oxygen, that can stop it starting. You might also glance at any drive belts, make sure they look okay, not cracked or broken, though that's less likely to be an immediate no-start cause unless one totally snapped.
Gotcha. So it's not just fuel and power. It's also about making sure the engine can actually use them properly. Air, spark. It's like doing a quick targeted tune-up right when you need it, which totally makes sense for getting it running reliably when the power's out.
Absolutely. Every one of those parts has a job to do in that combustion process.
Okay, we've hit some key mechanical and electrical checks. But, sometimes the most annoying problems have the simplest fixes. Are there any basic reset buttons or switches that people often forget about, things they should check before thinking it's a major repair job?
Yes, that's a fantastic point. Sometimes it really is just a simple reset. A lot of standby generators, the bigger ones, they have a main reset button or maybe a main circuit breaker right on the unit. It's not just decoration. It's there to clear minor faults, maybe a temporary overload happened, or a sensor just had a blip. It can interrupt the start sequence. So definitely try pressing that reset button. Give it a few seconds, then maybe try starting again before you assume the worst. And also, for those standby systems, you've got the automatic transfer switch, the ATS, that's the brain box. The ATS is what watches the power grid. When it senses the power go out, it disconnects you from the grid and connects you to the generator automatically, super fast. But if that switch somehow got manually switched to the utility position, or if it's stuck or has its own fault, well, the generator might be running fine, but no power gets to your house. So make sure the ATS is set to auto or whatever its normal operating mode is.
Okay, so what does that mean for getting power back quickly? It really sounds like it's about having a system, right? Check the obvious first. Simple resets, tripped breakers, switches in the wrong position. Check those before you start thinking the whole thing's broken down. Sometimes the fix is right there.
Exactly. It really is. A quick check of those simple things can save you a ton of time, a lot of frustration, and maybe even save you calling for service when you didn't need to. They're often the quick wins.
We've gone through these really useful troubleshooting steps, step by step. But our sources, and you mentioned this earlier, they really, really hammer home the idea of preventing these issues. You said poor maintenance is the #1 cause. Let's dig into that. What does good, regular maintenance actually look like? Why is it so crucial?
Yeah, regular maintenance is, without a doubt, the most important thing you can do for generator reliability. It's all about prevention, not just fixing, especially preventing that fuel breakdown we talked about. So what does it involve? Usually a few key things. First, monthly checks. Just walk out, look it over. Any leaks, loose wires, visible damage, and crucially, run the generator for, say, 20 or 30 minutes. And here's the key. Run it under load. Turn on some lights, maybe an appliance, make it work a bit. Just letting it idle doesn't do much. Running it under load prevents fuel stagnation, keeps internal parts lubricated, makes sure the battery stays charged. It's like exercise for the generator. Then you've got annual service. This is more in depth. Like a yearly physical. That's when you change the oil filter, replace the air filter, you inspect the spark plugs, maybe replace them, check coolant levels if it's liquid cooled, and definitely replace the fuel filter annually. That stops blockages. And fuel stabilization, if you're using gasoline, especially if it sits for a while, use a good fuel stabilizer every time you add fuel. It fights that phase separation, keeps fuel good for longer. Battery care too. Clean the terminals, yeah, but also make sure it's actually staying charged. Many units have a built-in charger, but still good to check the voltage now and then. Doing this consistently, it drastically cuts down the chances of those common problems: clogged filters, dead batteries, fuel issues. Getting professional maintenance ensures the whole system, the generator, and the transfer switch are ready to go. It gives you that steady power and, honestly, real peace of mind. It's an investment, sure, but it pays back in reliability, longer generator life, even saves fuel sometimes.
That's a really powerful point, running it under load, not just letting it idle. That really shows how proactive, dedicated care makes all the difference. Okay, so we've armed the listener with a great DIY toolkit here, covered a lot of ground they can check themselves. But there's clearly a line, right? A point where you stop DIYing and you need expert help. When is that point, and who should you be calling?
Absolutely. If you've gone through these steps systematically, you've checked the fuel, the battery's good, spark plugs seem okay, you tried the resets, checked the transfer switch settings, and it still won't start. Or maybe it starts for a second and then just dies. That's the time. That's when you need professional help. At that point, you could be looking at something more complex, maybe an electrical issue deep inside the control panel, or maybe that carburetor is clogged beyond just draining the bowl. Could be an alternator problem, a bad sensor, or even a serious internal engine issue. These things need proper diagnostic tools and, frankly, expertise to fix safely. Trying to dig deeper yourself, you could easily make things worse, maybe void a warranty, or even worse, create a safety hazard. Especially dealing with a transfer switch and house wiring. That's not something for amateurs.
And that's exactly the moment Copperfield Electric is ready to step in. As we said, they have 24/7 emergency service, which is huge. You're not left stranded.
That's right. Rene Hernandez, who owns Copperfield Electric, he's a very experienced electrician. Generators are a specialty, along with panel upgrades and all sorts of residential and commercial electrical work. He and his licensed team, they serve Orange County and Southern California, providing really expert solutions. They're committed to quality work, doing it safely, and responding quickly. They can handle the emergency repairs, but also that crucial preventative maintenance we've been talking about, making sure your whole system is reliable.
So what's the bottom line here for you, the listener? You've now got a really clear roadmap. You know what to do when that generator goes silent. You can approach it systematically, with confidence. You know about the fuel issue, the battery checks, the simple resets, things that can get you back online. And just as crucial, you know when to say, okay, I've done what I can, now it's time for the pros.
And maybe this brings up a broader question for all of us, doesn't it? Beyond just fixing the generator when it breaks. How much do we really value being truly prepared, proactively prepared? Not just for generators, but maybe other critical systems in our homes too. Things we rely on for peace of mind. What other systems around the house might benefit from this kind of deep dive approach? Consistent, preventative care to make sure they're ready when we need them most.
That's a great thought to leave people with. Really makes you think. And remember, for any electrical need, big, small, emergency plan maintenance, Copperfield Electric is there 24/7. You can reach them at 626-628-9694. That's 626-622-9694. Or check out their website to learn more about all the services they offer for homes and businesses across Orange County. That includes Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, and all the nearby areas. Let them handle the electrical worries.